So you're early extending as you're coming down into impact, creating some terrible golf shots. If that's the case, stick along because I'm going to give you 5 things that you might be doing that are creating some early extension. And then I'm going to tell you how to fix them easily with the drills prescribed for your issue so you can get rid of early extension forever and play better golf. So you're here to clean up your early extension. First, we need to talk about what early extension is and why it's so bad and why the pros don't early extend. Ludwig is one of my favorite golfers right now, and he has this beautiful free-flowing swing, and if anything, he is like the polar opposite of early extension. As you watch his swing as he's working off the golf ball, he loads into this trail side and then almost moves further away from that golf ball. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he gets in those positions. How does he hit the golf ball? As someone that early extends, you're just like dreaming about his swing. So why is early extension bad? Well, early extension, you can imagine if this is my address position and I early extend towards the golf ball, that's gonna bring my hands up, it's gonna bring my handle in, and you can either have toe strikes, you can have bad pulls, you could have inconsistent low point because we're not controlling our spine flexion through the swing. So early extension, not only is it because the butt goes in, but then the spine comes up. Both of those are terrible in the golf swing. So how do we clean it up? Well, for the first things first, is I see a lot of golfers not properly loading into their pelvis, just like Ludwig does. If you watch his swing, it's just beautiful, and he loads properly into his pelvis as he works off the golf ball. So we'll start with that one, and then we'll go to the next. So the first early extender I see is somebody that actually moves towards the golf ball in their backswing. So their pelvis goes from being underneath them in a really good setup position where we're got the arms hanging freely, and we've got a little bit of knee bend, and we got a good hip hinge. From here, they're try to turn and rotate, moves their lead hip in and towards, and the whole pelvis goes towards the golf ball. That would be the first issue of an early extender. What you can see from that is that your butt comes off that line. If you draw a line from down the line, make sure the camera angle is good, which should be shooting down the toe line, is if your butt comes off that line as soon as you start working off the golf ball. Another one is you can actually draw a line on the front of your pelvis. And what you would see is as you turn and rotate, that lead hip should go into that line, not in front of that line. So the drill for you is going to be, I want you to grab your golf bag. Now, if you don't have a stand bag, it's not the end of the world. You can MacGyver something. I want you to take your driver and I want you to feed it through your stand bag, just like this. And I want you to balance it so that the driver head has the shaft just parallel to the ground. And then at the first is I want you to just put the club out of the way. I want you to get into your posture right here. And I want you to feel like, how would you move? So I'm right up against this. And I want to feel, okay, in my backswing, how would I move away from this driver shaft? If you were to do yours, you would go this way and you'd bang into that driver shaft. Oh, we don't want that. What would we need to do? How would you feel like, okay, what would I push into the ground? I'd push a little bit laterally through here. And then I would feel like as I'm pushing laterally, I'm actually trying to push a little bit this way. And that would allow me to move away from this driver shaft as I work into my back. So you can see how deep I load into this right glute. That might be a really good feel for you, loading into that right glute. And you can see how I move away from that shaft. That would be the first drill you could do. Then, yeah, it's gonna be hard to make some swings here with the bag in the way, but you could keep that same feeling of, okay, how would I move away from that? Then just move the bag out of the way and hit some shots. Slow at beginning. This is gonna be your first drill for somebody that pushes their pelvis towards the golf ball in their backswing. We don't want that. Now, the second reason that you might be early extending is that at the top of your backswing, your hands are too high, i.e. you do not have enough hand depth, and your shaft pitch is too vertical to your swing. And what I mean by that is at the top of your backswing, your club is very vertical and your hands are very high, something like this. From here, as you start trying to turn and rotate, the club is coming down too steep and your brain starts kicking in. Early extension is a shallower in the golf swing. If you get up to the top of your backswing, and from here, if all I do is I extend, you can see where that shaft goes. So we need to go, okay, well, we don't want to get rid of early extension right now in itself because it's probably helping you play better golf. What we need to do first is find the root cause, and that's where we're finding for most of you golfers. So stick with us. If you watch your swings and your hands are not over here and your shaft isn't vertical like this, you can probably skip to the next one. But if you are like that, or if you don't even videotape your swing, videotape yourself, proper camera angles, and watch your swing. Where are your hands at the top of your backswing? Do they look like this, or do they look like this? And then does your shaft look like this, or does it look like that? We want them to be in a better position. Where I like to see most golfers, now not everyone, but most golfers would benefit from a little bit more hand depth than not, unless you're hooking the golf ball from a really deep hand position. What I would like to see is if you look like this at the top of your backswing and then you start turning and rotating, well, can we get this lead arm and the arms a little bit deeper at the top of your backswing? What I would like for you to do, if that is the case, is I want you to set up a little station. So now we've got this set up. We've got 2 driveway markers from Home Depot just taped and zip tied together and either into the ground, or we've got a plane made here with a little bit of weight. What we're looking for is when you get into your dress position, we want to get this alignment stick just over the top of your right shoulder. And then obviously not too close and not too far away, somewhere into like the middle of the club. So as I work up to the top here, I need to keep this lead arm underneath that alignment stick as I work up top. You can see how much deeper this would be. If your old swing was hands up like this, right, you would smash into this alignment stick into your backswing. We don't want that. This is a great drill for you so that you can get rid of the reason why you're early extending, because you no longer need to drop the club with your body, because now the club shaft and the hands at the top can now get you to turn and rotate, stay in posture. This is a great drill for you. I want you to start it slow, okay? Then you can speed it up over time. Getting comfortable working off the golf ball, plenty of hand depth, then staying in posture, almost feeling like you're bending over just a bit more as you start working down through impact. That will create tons and tons of draw shape on that shot. Now, one of my favorites is you don't stay in posture because you don't put enough pressure into the lead foot into your transitional phases. And most of that's because you're hanging back a little bit onto this right foot. And then as you start working down, you're firing from the right side as a right-handed golfer. As you're working into your transitional phases to recenter, so as you're working up to the top and as you feel like this club is starting to unweight, we should be getting pressure back in the lead side, and then you can push out this lead side. A great drill to feel that pressure going out this way is just a cereal box. You get up to the top of your backswing. Once you feel like, okay, I'm about to get up to the top of my backswing, I want to recenter into that cereal box. And as you get that cereal box feel, you're going to push that cereal box out this way. And that is going to get massive amounts of torque into the ground. If I get rid of that cereal box, I do that same thing. All right, I feel like I've recentered into that lead foot, and I let my lead foot push, drive my hip back. That is gonna get you down into posture and keep your pelvis underneath you. It's a great drill for you out there that don't push into that lead side and hang back. We gotta recenter first, then we gotta push into that foot. That's gonna get you down into posture, get that lead hip driving you through the swing. Now, one of the other reasons that you early extend in your backswing is that you don't load into your trail foot. First, we have the golfer that went towards the golf ball in our backswing. You might be a golfer that doesn't quite load the pressure into the trail heel. I want you to grab just 2 alignment sticks. You can put them together, and then you can stand on them right near the balls/arches of your feet. So somewhere around here. Then, as you work off the golf ball, loading up to the top, you should feel like your pressure gets into this side, so the inside of my trail foot, that pressure should shift into that spot. And then as we're getting to that position where we're starting to recenter, we're gonna be able to push off that, and then we're gonna be able to push on this side to push us back. This is a great drill if you're someone that doesn't load properly into the ground in your backswing, getting the pressures into the proper spots to surf and recenter so that you can get rid of that early extension. Again, absolutely you can hit golf balls with this. It gives you a great feel. Again, start slow and then you can add more speed as you go. Then lastly, we have golfers that early extend because their face is not in a good spot early enough. So if I get up to the top of my backswing and I start working down, and if my face is too open, I will early extend to flip it and help close the club face. For you, we need to work on, okay, why is the club face too open at the top, and how can we get into a better position earlier? What I want you to work on is, as you're working off the golf ball, can we feel like this club is going to start pointing down towards the ground a little earlier in your backswing? And then as you get up to the top of your backswing, what we're looking for is this leading edge, does it match roughly with your lead arm at the top of your backswing? And then as you work down from the top, we're going to start applying force into the handle as we lower the arms. Okay, again, we're not casting the club out, we're just lowering the arms, and as we lower the arms, we're going to feel like we're applying force to twist this handle down. You can see how closed that club face would be. I want you to start that slow, and I want you to get comfortable actually hitting some hooks. And what we're looking for is, again, as we work off the golf ball, we're going to feel like that toes a little bit more down. Again, if this is for someone whose face is too open at the top. And then as you get up to the top, we want to feel like we're going to twist it down even more. And then we're going to feel like, okay, I want to hit a big pull, and I almost want to feel like I'm going to stay down for this shot. Again, really slow at the beginning, and voila, I hit a little pull. Now, as you get more comfortable with that, we're going to start adding some speed into that. And then you can feel like, okay, can I add a little bit of forward shaft lean? Can I feel like my hands go more towards the target? And that'll help neutralize the face through the impact area. Again, start slow and then ramp up the speed as you go. All right, and then lastly, I want you to over-exaggerate staying down a little bit longer. I want you to, let's say if your club face is in a good spot, your shaft pitch is in a good spot, your pelvis is in a good spot, but you're still early extending just a little bit. That might be just some old habits. So on the range, I want you to get comfortable feeling as you're working off the golf ball, you want your head to dip down even more as you work up to the top. And then as you're working down, I want you to feel like you're trying to drive your hip back this way. And again, your head's working down. I want you to do this really slowly. And even if you hit a couple heavy at the beginning, that's okay. Again, we're doing it so slow, it doesn't matter if we're going to hit it a little heavy as we work off the golf ball, working down, we're really feeling, can we stay in that posture? As you get more and more comfortable with those motions, well, then you can start speeding up. Again, go through the checklist, which is the reason why you are early extending. Most people don't early extend for no reason other than that first one. If it's shaft pitch, if it's club face, those are needed. Early extension is needed. Now, remember at the beginning of the video I said there's early extension and then there's extension. Let's say you're someone that through your follow through, your butt comes off that line. That is not something to lose sleep over. Extension, so at impact and post impact, is totally normal. Jack did it. There's tons of golfers that have some amount of extension in their swing. You should not be trying to stay completely down through your whole shot, especially with a driver. Driver, there should be more extension than not, because we're going to be swinging a little bit more up into that. So don't fret over that. Again, proper camera angles, find your root cause of what you need to fix. Now, if you don't know what your root cause is, and you've watched through these videos, feel free to message me. Again, I would love to help you out. I do one-on-one coaching on the skills app. So if you have any questions, message me on there. I can let you know how I can help you with your golf game so you can play better golf.